And it's Good News at Noon with Dick Baumbach. How are you there, Mr. Baumbach?
I am doing great. I am having a great week, and I hope you are too.
Oh, I am. And you know, before we get into the stories that you have lined up for us, I want to ask you: did you see last week on the news where the helicopter pilot was out in the canyon and they were rescuing a body, and the lines got caught up in the tail thing, and you think that, oh, this is more bad news, this is the end, and the guy actually saves the helicopter. He says to himself, I got to find the place to crash, but he's able to bring the helicopter under control and bring it down and saved everybody, and he didn't have a rotor blade. It was amazing. It was just crazy how he was able to do this. Did you by any chance see that?
I did, and the thing is, that the thought that I had is, there's somebody who knew what he was doing and not only saved himself but others.
Absolutely.
And, and the thing is, if I need a helicopter ride, I know who I'm calling.
Same here. I'm going to say, do you know how to bring it down if the rotor goes out? Anyways, the first story that you have lined up for us this week is about a Boston bus driver who treats everyone on board by stopping at a kid's lemonade stand. I thought they had outlawed lemonade stands.
Well, no, this happened in Boston. It was a hot summer day, and this, like I said, some of these stories happened, a year ago, but they're always so good news.
Right.
And this man's name is John Lohan, and he's driving along. He has a bunch of thirsty passengers because it's very hot in Boston. And he says, do you mind if I make a short stop? And they say, oh, okay. So he gets out of the bus, and he pulls over to this little kid stand, and he buys literally lemonade for everybody on the bus.
Wow.
And everybody was thrilled. It only took like 2.5, 3 minutes. And he also gave the kids with the lemonade stand a $10 tip. And
wow.
People just applauded this bus driver.
Now, how many people were on the bus?
There were 31 on the bus.
31 on the bus, and he bought every one of them lemonade. That is just, that's an incredible story. If I'm ever on his bus, I hope he stops by like a Dunkin' Donuts or something.
I'll join you on that.
So the next good story we have is about a Good Samaritan who pays the grocery bill for firefighters having a hectic day.
Now, you notice that we have a food thing going here?
Yes, I do.
This happened in Baumbach, Illinois, and there was firefighters who literally, every time they went to the grocery store, they had to leave because they got a call.
Oh.
And so this kept happening. And what happened is a Good Samaritan, who does not want to be identified, saw that after the third or fourth time that they had left their cart in the middle of the store. He went, paid for it, and said, when they come back, tell them everything's done.
Wow.
And if they want any more, put it on my credit card.
Wow. That's such a good story. That really is, because those guys don't get enough credit as it is. And it's, my son's father-in-law was a firefighter for 30-something years. And some of the things that he's told me is just like, I don't know if I could ever go through some of that stuff. And they do need some of this kindness. And this is a really good story. It makes you feel really, really good.
Well, it's interesting you said that, Jeff, because my dad was a firefighter in New York City, and my grandfather was a firefighter in New York City.
Wow.
And, they, and I decided not to become a firefighter. I decided good news with Jeff.
I hate to say it like this, but I guess they threw themselves into the fire. Oh, never mind. Oh, gosh.
What can I tell you?
Shoot. The next story we have is about a photo of a shelter pups hugging lands them a home together just in time. So I'm taking that they were like on their last days?
Yeah, this happened in Atlanta, and really it's an animal rescue group, and they posted a photo of the shelter pups, Kiri and Kayla, along with a message saying that two dogs would soon be separated and headed for euthanasia. And folks suddenly went out of their minds and said no, because they were two adorable puppies. And the photo went on Facebook and just over and over and over again shared. Well, not only were those two saved, but 17 other animals were saved at that pet shelter.
Wow. That had to make those workers feel really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
You know, and Kiri and Kayla are probably walking around saying, "Hey, what did we do?"
Yep. The next good story you have is a little baffling to me. It's Teen Hardy's worker rewarded for his touch of heaven to an elderly lady. What is this about?
Yeah, well, this again it goes back to youth, and it's one of the smallest acts of kindness, but it comes with great reward. 17-year-old Kaylee Young was washing windows outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, Hardee's, and that's where he works, when he stopped to offer an elderly woman a hand to get into her car in the parking lot. And that sounds simple, okay, fine. Yeah. Well, somebody noticed that and took a picture of it and then shared it on Facebook. And it went crazy. And the chain, the Hardee's chain, turned around and gave Kaylin Young a check for $1,000, rewarding him for his kindness.
Wow.
And,
wow.
And he says, that's just a normal thing for me to do.
Yeah. Most of these stories that you have are where people are doing things and they're not expecting anything in return. Nothing in return. They're just doing acts of kindness. Just like this kid. I mean, just like him. It's I don't know. Do you think it's the way they're raised, or is it something else that's going on?
No, I just think it's really that people. There are people in the world that we've seen week after week. What you just said, Jeff, it's just well, hey, I just want to help somebody out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No big thing. Thank you very much.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and by the way, Kaylin is putting the money towards college, and he hopes to get an engineering degree. So you might want to talk to him.
Yeah. So what do you have lined up for us next week?
Well, I have more good news, but I want to surprise you all. I want to surprise you with the good news for next week, because it will just blow your mind. Because every week as I search for these good news stories, there are so many now that are coming out, and I wish that other media would acknowledge them. Now, they are to an extent, but, here we spent 15 minutes talking about things that are good versus, oh, my gosh, everything's falling apart.
Right. I appreciate that the news outlets are offering a story at the end of their programs about good news. But, wouldn't it be so much better if most of the news was good news and that one last story was the bad news? You could turn that off,
Hey, That's an idea for a network.
I'm telling you, it's like you sit there and you're waiting for that last story because you know it's a good story, and you have to sit through all this other stuff before you get there. Why not just give them what they want right up front, and then that little bit of bad stuff at the end, and then they can just turn it off, and it would be so much better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And
well,
maybe somebody will do that someday.
It would be. That's a good idea. So, well, Mr. Baumbach, have yourself a wonderful week, and thank you once again for bringing us the good news of the week, and it really makes a difference for everybody that's listening to this.
Well, and Jeff, you have a great, good week, and I'll see you next week on the radio.
Thank you, sir.